Dear Cheri, I have just started growing marijuana, but I'm looking at my space and I want to know how high do marijuana plants grow? I want to make sure that I'm covered. Okay, well, that's a good question. I'm joined today by Mitch Mandel, Cannabis Cheri's grow editor, because he has lots more grow experience than I do, so I try to bring him in on these questions. And that's a great question. Before we get to the answer, though, just want to remind you, please hit that YouTube subscribe button and notification bell, because we try to upload new videos every Wednesday. And do us a huge favor by hitting that like button, too, because that helps us be seen in YouTube's algorithms. Okay, before we get into how high the plants grow, I just want to point out, too, if you like Mitch's stylish smoking rooster shirt or my warning may contain weed shirt.
May contain weed?
Okay, warning does contain weed, but it says it may.
Right.
Anyway, these shirts, along with many other fun cannabis designs, are available on my website. There'll be a link in the comments below. Okay, let's answer this viewer's question about how high do marijuana plants grow?
As high as you want.
As high as you want,
high
or
as
as
you want.
low as
Or
you
as low
want.
as you want.
Right, you are in control of this one. but-
I've seen plants as tall as 14, 15 feet.
Whew,
That's very
Jack
tall.
and the Beanstalk, okay.
But I've also seen plants as small as 8 to 10 inches tall.
Yeah, I've actually seen a bonsai marijuana
Right.
plant that somebody
Or,
made
or
and
the
sculpted.
a sea of green.
Right.
You know, if you're growing indoors, a sea of green, you may have 8 to 10, 10-inch plants.
Right.
So the plant will grow as tall as you want it to do.
Right,
to grow.
so you can really customize this depending on the space you have available. I mean, if you're inside, of course, you're going to be limited by the size of your grow room or your
Right.
grow tent, more likely. If you're outside, the sky is the limit, but
No, the sky is
you
not
may
the
not
limit.
want it to be the limit, right? Because if you got nosy neighbors, you don't want big marijuana plants peeking up over your fences.
Right.
So why don't we go into scenarios, what you do to control it in both instances?
Okay,
So-
well, you can control, if you're growing indoors,
Right.
you can control how tall the plant grows by how much time you stay in the vegetative state.
Okay.
So that's not meaning no brain, but you're vegging the plant before you go into the flowering stage.
Right.
So the less time you veg your plant, the smaller the plant will be. And that's how they grow those small 10-inch, 12-inch plants. They only veg for 2 weeks or so. Then they go into the 12
Into the
hour,
flower.
12 hour on, 12 hour off of the light, and they start the plant flowering, and the plant stays small. And there are some people who will keep their plant in a perpetual vegetative state, so then they can take clippings off it, and
Okay.
that plant will grow as tall as you want it to be. But they keep clipping it to get clones, so they can grow more plants.
Right.
So that plant will continue growing as long as it's at more than 12 hours of sunlight per day.
Okay.
Now, if you're outdoors, or even indoors, you can do this too. A marijuana plant will start with a single stem growing up, and then it grows branches off of that.
So what we're talking about now is a term called training your plant,
Well,
right?
this is clipping.
Clipping,
This is
okay.
it's called topping.
Topping, okay.
So you'll have a plant that starts to grow, and you'll have a set of leaves that go off one way. Then you'll have another set of leaves that will go off another way, and another set of leaves that will go off the same as the first. So you have 3 sets of leaves, and at that top set, people will clip.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, instead of having a single branch stem going up, it will split off into 2.
Right.
And then now the plant won't grow as tall, it'll grow a little bit bushier.
Right.
And then you can even clip those a little further, you top it again, and then those will split off into 2 again. So you'll get a wider, bushier plant as opposed to a taller plant.
Right.
But you'll get a lot of buds off the trimmed plant. People top plants all the time, so they will get more buds out of it.
Right. So that's the solution, especially outdoors if you don't want to grow like a 14-foot plant.
Well, yeah.
But we've seen it for real.
Right.
It can happen. So, and in a tent, you would probably use a screen to...
In a tent, once the plant gets to a certain height, you would then weave it through a screen or a net, weave the branches through a screen or net, so your plant grows wide, filling up the canopy, as opposed to growing tall, and then all the light is focused on the center stem, as opposed to getting the side branches that
Right.
need
So
as much
that's
light.
training your plant.
So when you're
with the-
training, you have a level playing field for your buds to grow, and the light hits all of it equally.
Okay.
But when you're growing outdoors, it's a good idea. People train plants outdoors, much like you see people training grape plants. You know, for
even
wineries
tomatoes, yeah.
or tomatoes, they use those nets, those not the nets, but those wire mesh
Cages.
yeah, and they keep the plant within that, or getting the branches to go outside, so the tomatoes get as much light as they can on the inside.
So cannabis is not that different in that regard.
Plant cannabis. People use those cages for cannabis all the time.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So the bottom line to the question of how high do marijuana plants grow, they can grow as high or as low as you want. You are in control.
It's really up to the grower how tall the plant will
Right.
grow.
So you can make it work for whatever your grow room or your grow circumstances are.
Exactly.
Okay. Hope this helps. See you all next time.
Bye-bye.